Perfect. So today we'll explore two of the most important parts in the Power Apps, that are Power Apps components and form modes. So these two things are now being exclusively used, and I just want to take you on down the road where we go ahead and study most basic things that are needed when you want to get started with Power Apps components and the form modes. Okay, perfect. So now what are Power Apps components before we go ahead and take a look at the demo? So Power Apps components are basically reusable components that we design and export them as a package. And when I say export, then they can be exported to different screens inside a single Power App, or to multiple Power Apps in a tenant, or to multiple Power Apps across tenants. So it's like creating a component for once and then just reusing it. So that saves our time and effort, right? Great. So now how do you make this component option available on your tenant? Pretty easy. So you need to go to File, then the Settings, then the Advanced Settings, and then inside the Preview Features, just go ahead and take a look if you have components as enabled. So yeah, there it is. Now another important thing that I want to share since we are on this screen is that whatever features are present as experimental features, don't include them in your production, because there is a chance that Microsoft may go ahead and deprecate these features in the future. Okay, the features that are present inside or as a part of preview features, those are the features that Microsoft is going to like make generally available a cent percent. It's only a matter of time, so it may be available in the near future, or it may take some time for them to be available generally. Okay, perfect. So let's go back and click on components. Now, one of the most important part that I want to share before starting the demo is, with the components, you get limited options. So if I click on new component, and I'll tell you what I mean by limited components. Let's first rename this to global header. Perfect. Now, when I click on this component, you'll see that I have got only 4 options. So you cannot go ahead and play with contextual variables. You cannot play with the different event types like on select, etc., etc. And why is that? This is because each element that you design as a part of component is going to function in its own context. Okay, so that's very important. Now we have created a new component and we have named it global header, and you'll see that the screen has come up. Okay, the component screen size has come up, but this is not an ideal size, right? So let's set the width and the height parameters. And I'll tell you, most of the people, what they try to do is go over here and try to do a trial and error for setting the width and height, which is not the correct way going forward. We'll make use of an expression, and that expression will safely resolve things out for you. So let's do max of app dot width, comma, app dot design width. Okay, and just hit on enter. So you'll see that the width has changed, right? And I'll do this for height. So let's erase this, and max of app dot height, comma, app dot design height. I'll just hit enter once again. And you'll see that in a second, the height should also change, unless I have made some error with the spelling. No, nothing. So the height has also changed. Right now, what does this expression do? This expression refers to your screens. Okay, so you'll see that if I go ahead and try to include this component on your screen, it will be exactly of the same size as that of your screen. Perfect. Now the thing is, let's go ahead and design a header component. So the header component will not have this weird amount of height, right? So let's set this to a height that seems relevant. Let's divide this by 3. So yeah, now your screen, like your header component, is 1/3 of your total screen. So you see how simple it is once you know this expression to go ahead and play around with widths and heights. Lovely. Now let's say I am designing this header for one of my internal projects in the organization, and I want a company logo to be present on the left side. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on image, And then I'm just going to refer this rapid circle logo since I work with rapid circle. So this sits over here. Okay, let's beautify this a bit. So I'll just select on component. I'll just change to it to this color. Now another thing is I also want my own image to be present on the right hand side. So by me, I mean to say the image of the developer, okay, who is working on the screen. So I'll just do this, and then I'll choose one of my existing images. So this is my image. It's a very ugly image, but don't mind. Okay, so now I have designed a company logo and my own image. Let's go ahead and check. So on the screen one, suppose I'm working on screen one, I just go ahead and click on custom and then include my component over here. Okay, this is still fine. But let's say on the screen number two, one of my colleagues is working. Okay, so if he goes ahead and tries to import this component, he'll not see his image, but instead my image, because we have hard coded both the images. Bummer, right? Because when he's working, we should have his image. So there's one trick for solving this. Let's get back to the components, and for this, we'll change this to user.image. Okay. Oops. So I guess we'll need to input it once again. IntelliSense is helping us. Now you'll see that this has changed. Okay, I did not refer my image, but this has still changed. So what happens when you use user.image function, that particular image tries to refer to my profile image from here, right? So now we have not hard coded this image, but set a logic that whenever this particular image is used, it should refer to the base profile. So if my colleague now goes ahead and tries to import my component, he's still going to see his image, not my image, right? That's a good thing. Okay, now one important thing is when you go back to the screen, you'll realize that once the package has been done, you cannot go ahead and play around with package. Like I cannot go ahead and select this image and try to delete this. No, it deletes the entire component, right? So now this is a trick. Now let's do this. Let's click on a label. I'll just expand this. I'll just change its property like size to 20. I'll just make it bold, and okay, it's good to align it into the middle, and then I'll change the color of this to white. Okay, now that being said, what I'll do is I'll just try to name this screen. So welcome to screen 1. Okay, so in a minute this should reflect. So it's slowly coming up. I mean, my PowerApps is a bit weird. I think this is becoming too heavy for it, but never mind. So this should come up sooner or later. Okay, now when I go to my screen, you'll see that this has partly come, but this should come. Okay, let's say welcome screen. Let's just keep it that way. Let's just keep it simple. Okay, so now if I go to my screen, okay, oh, this is not what I desired, right? On the screen 1, it says welcome screen, but on the screen 2 also it says welcome screen. But we want this screen or this element to show the correct name of the screen, not just welcome screen. But again, once the component is made, it's made. I told you we cannot play around with this element, right? But there is one small trick that you can do. So let's say click on my PowerApps component and click on this new custom property. Okay, and let's give this custom property a name called text. Now we'll say that this is a custom property to define header titles. And then there are two types of different properties, input property and the output property. Now when I select input property, it means that I need to provide data from PowerApps components to configure it. So let's just select on input property. Okay, and let's just click on create, because when I show it visually, it will like you will be able to correlate more on this. Now let's go to this label. Okay, And let's change this from welcome screen to the name of my component, that is global header, to the name of the property that we just created. So that will be text. Let's click on enter. So this error will go away. It's just a matter of Power Apps able to reflect my change. Okay, that is done. Now if I go to my screen, you'll see that just a text is coming up, but there is always a but if I click on my component and if I click on this property here, you'll see that we have the custom property that we designed present over here. So I just click on that and I say welcome screen 1. Okay, so let Power Apps digest this change, and now you can see that welcome screen 1 has come up. Similarly, if I go over here, it just says text, so you can go ahead, click on this text value and change this to welcome screen 2. So this should again come up in a second. Yep. So you see how you can go ahead and play with individual components. I mean the elements. Even though you do like component do not provide or does not provide you that capability to go ahead and change the elements in the runtime, it still provides you with the capabilities to define custom settings via which you can play around with the individual elements. Okay. Another thing, let's say we want our name over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on a label. I'll just input it over here and we'll do the same thing. Okay, for this. So let's say, okay, we don't need the double quotes, so I'll just remove them. User dot, I'll just say full name, and the full name comes up. And you'll see that in a minute, the change has been registered. So let's make this a bit bigger so you see it. I'll just make it 18. I'll just give it bold format. I'll just middle align it. And as always, I'll just change the font color to white because I don't like black. Okay, so you'll see that this is the way you can go ahead and include your name beneath you. Okay, so one last thing. Now let's say we also want the date and time. Now that is also easy. So let's drag this over here. Okay, first change it because that is important. Let's just do this 18. And then let's just change its color to white. That's done. And for this, we'll change the value to now. So this is a function that will go ahead and display the date and the time. So that's it. Ta-da! All you need to do is go ahead and include it in your different screens. So you'll see that on the screen 1, everything has been set up for screen 1. On the screen 2, everything has been set up with respect to screen 2 with the correct screen names. So that is how you can go ahead and play with components. And this is a very simple component, I know, but this is just a beginner for those who don't know anything about it. I've worked with different components. Let's say you want something like this. So you see when I click on this hamburger menu, this happens, right? Which is called as the menu navigation. So if I go over here, you'll see I've already kept one designed. Let's just go to the screen and play this. So if I click on this, you see how the experience changes. So that way you can also create your own menu navigation, or let's say the menu. I'm sorry, navigation menu. Now the important thing is how do we reuse this, right? So basically what you need to do is go over here and click on export. So once I click on export, my component will be downloaded. So your file is ready. And let's say this is a custom header. Let's click on save. And you'll see that this gets saved to your file system. Okay. Now, what if you want to import this in some other app, or let's say some other screen? So on other screen, it's still okay. You can just click on custom and include this. But in some other app, all you need to do is click on import components. And then it will show you the existing components from the same TNet. But let's say you're working in a different TNet. So click on upload file. And then, yeah, here it is, custom header. So you can just select it and click on open. I'm not going to do this right now. So that was all about the components. Now there's another important thing called form modes, which is very important. So let's go ahead and play with form modes. I'll just go to one of my screens. Here it is. Let me close these tabs. Perfect. So let's click on a gallery and take a vertical gallery. Okay. Oops. So let's align it so that this looks a bit nicer. Okay. This screen size suits us. And then it's very important to name the data source for this. Okay. So other data source, I'm selecting one of my existing lists in SharePoint. Okay. Boom. So all the data from that list is now coming up over here. And what is this data is basically the events where I have been a speaker along with the dates and the flyers. That's okay. Now let's click on form and click on edit. So when I do this, it asks me for a data source. Now we are going to play around with this same gallery. So into the data source, I'll just select this. Into the data source, I'll just select the same list. And you'll see in a minute that this goes ahead and creates a nice edit form for me by default. The same that we get in SharePoint. Ta-da! Here it is. Now there are some things that I don't know. So I'll just select them and delete them. I don't need the photo anyways. And you can see that this has come up in a 3-column view. So no, there is this thing called snap to columns. We'll just change this to 2 because 2-column view looks good. And then the titles are big, right, for sessions. So I'll just expand this because a title can be a bigger one. Okay, now that being said, we are ready to go and play around with the different form modes. So first up, let's do this. Let's first analyze what is a form mode and a form display mode. So to better explain it, let's make use of labels. Oh, so let's click on the screen and click on label. So a label becomes available. I'll just drag this label over here. And on the text property, what we will do is form mode, right? And then I'll just do an ending form one dot mode. Okay, I'm just selecting form one dot mode. Now, why form mode is because the name of my form is form one. Correct? Yep, that ought to do it. Okay, let's keep it this way, and you'll see that the form mode is 0. Okay, and we don't know what this means. So let's include another label. So this is over here. Let's just drag it over here, and we'll change the property for this as well. So form display mode. So and let's do an ending form one dot display. Yeah. Oops, I think I made a mess of it. So let me do this once again. Let's just name this to display mode. Then we'll do an ending. Here it comes. And then form name, which is form one, right? Dot. So we are basically making use of the IntelliSense display mode. That's it. Let's click on enter just for safe side. So PowerApps will go ahead and digest this change. And in a minute, you'll see that some data comes up over here. Okay, we'll wait for it. In the meanwhile, let's go ahead and ramp up some buttons, which we are going to use for future references. Okay, so my PowerApps is loading. That can happen sometimes. Okay, so I have a button which I'm going to drag over here, but you'll see that the display mode now says edit. Okay, so that means the form mode is always coded in numbers. So let's say that for edit display mode, the form mode is 0. Okay, so now we know that currently my form is in edit mode, right? And we know that because it's displaying over here, plus we also selected the edit option over here, right? Okay, so let's now click on this button and let's name this button view. Okay, so on the on select for this, let's say view form, which is the function that we want, that we need to use when we need to just view the form, not edit stuff inside it. And what is my form name? It's form one. So I'll just do this and I'll just click on enter. Okay, so this is view button. Let's now go ahead and try to play this app. Okay, now if I click on play, okay, one thing that we forgot to do. Okay, so let's select our form one, and for the item property, because we need something to display, right? So on the item property, let's say what's the name of my gallery is gallery one. So let's say gallery one dot selected. Now why am I doing this? And you will get to know about this in a minute. So what this typically means is when I play the app, the item that I select from the gallery that will be displayed over here. So I click on global AI on tour and you'll see that the property changes. Now this is, I'm still able to edit this, right? Because our form is in edit mode. See, edit. But now if I click on the view button, which we configured earlier, you'll see that the capability to edit goes away. So this is how view button works. If you want to view the screen, you need to go ahead and configure this view button. But wait, when I click on view button, why is it still visible? I already know that this is in view mode, right? Perfect. So let's configure that. So let's click on view. Let's click on the visible property for this view. Here it is. And then we'll make this change. Okay. So let's do this. So I'm just writing a condition where form one, let's select it. We'll go very slowly. Form one dot mode. So let's select this mode is equal to, right, form mode, oops, form mode dot view, right? So this evaluates to true. This says that if form1 dot mode is equal to form mode dot view, then show this. But we don't want to do that, right? If this is the case, then we want to hide this. So now how do we do that? So we do that using a very simple trick, and I'll show that to you in a while. I think, yeah, we'll just use negation of this statement. So negation of this statement will make this statement false, right? So what this means is when form1 dot mode is equal to form mode dot view, don't show this, and you'll see how the negation came up, right? Okay, so we'll test this and you'll see how the view button vanished, right? So first let's click on button. Let's add another button so that we can go back to the edit view. I'll just click this. I'll just name this to edit. Okay, I'll just click on this. So on the edit, on select property, what we are going to do, we are going to do edit form. That's the function, and it should come up, edit form. But which one? So form one. That's it. Now if I go ahead and play this, you'll see if I click, sorry, if I click on edit, you see the view button comes up and I'm able to edit stuff. But if I click on view button, the form knows that you are already on view mode, so no need for you to show the view button again. So that's how you go ahead and play with this, right? Let's put this back into edit mode because that is simple for rearranging stuff. So I'll just drag this over here. Now the thing, what if I want a blank new form? So let's do this. Click on button. I'll just drag this button and put it over here. So my like I'm not good with colors, so don't mind those parts. Okay, and on the on select button, we'll again go ahead and select a function called new form. So new form, and which form? Form one. That's it. And I'll display both the things simultaneously for you. Okay, I think this has not been done. So new form. Oops. So new form. Let's do this one last time. I hope the gods are with me. Form one. And I'll click on enter. So this gets registered, perfect. And now last but not the least, I'll need just one small button because I want to show you the submit part as well. All this is of no use, right, if you are not able to submit this changes. Okay, so on the submit button, we'll do submit form one. And I think let's do this form 1. I'll click this on edit once again. Okay. Now, if you want to check if this formula was indeed registered, just click on any other button and then click back over here. Yes, it is registered. So let's go over here. Okay, so now let's make this run in the edit view. So this is edit because I can go ahead and change stuff, right? But I don't want values populated. Okay, so let's click on new. Boom. So this is a new form, right? Nothing comes up over here. Now, if you take a look at this, you'll see that this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. So let's go ahead and say that this is SPUG event. The event is currently being held. Okay, I'll click on OK. So venue type is online and attendees are, let's say, 600. Maybe it's a big event, so it's a 600. Okay, and now I'll click on submit. So once I click on submit, you'll see that there is an additional item called SPUG. Lovely, right? So that's how you work with form modes. That was all about Power Apps components and the form modes. Thank you.